Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we will hear from Craig Lewis and Dr. Jamie Marich. Craig is a certified peer specialist, and he will share with us how he has successfully transformed his struggles into a life of wellness. Craig works as part of a recovery learning community in Salem, Massachusetts. He tours the country speaking about his lived experience to help others. He has authored and published the Coping Skills Guide, Better Days, a mental health recovery workbook, which is based on his personal life and recovery, and it is used in peer support group settings. He has also edited and published You're Crazy, Volume 1, which compiles firsthand accounts of people from the punk rock scene who live with mental health struggle, addiction, and trauma. Also, Dr. Jamie Marich, she is known from friends and colleagues as a Renaissance woman, a dancer, musician, performer, writer, recovery ambassador, and clinical counselor. She unites these elements of her experience to achieve an ultimate mission, bringing the art and joy of healing to others. Jamie speaks internationally and maintains a private practice, Mindful Ohio, in her home base of Warren. She is the developer of the dancing mindfulness practice and regularly trains facilitators to take this unique practice into both clinical and community settings. She has written several books and teaches trauma-informed yoga and has delivered a TED Talk. Today, they both will discuss the reality that we all possess the ability to develop more effective coping methods. Each person has a wealth of knowledge and self-expertise that, when tapped into, can radically improve quality of life, which is the Better Days approach. And without question, hard work, effort, and time, the life you want can become yours. Now I will hand it over to Jamie and Craig. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you, Jamie, for joining us as well. Debbie, I just want to ask: Are you hearing us clearly? Because it's showing on my screen that there's some difficulty with the audio.
No, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's my honor and privilege to be here with my friend and colleague and supporter, Jamie Marich. Am I saying your name correctly, Jamie?
Marich.
I'm so sorry. Marich. Close to everybody that I did not get a particularly good night's sleep last night, so I'm a little under the weather emotionally, which I think is appropriate to share here, as you know, we're sharing we're providing this webinar information on a mental health platform. So I wanted to share with people listening that I am having a bit of a struggle with my my wellness, and it's also extremely hot here, and I don't have an air conditioner. So I'm sweating. So just so everyone knows, that's where I'm coming from, and I'm going to recognize that how we cope with the struggles that we face, it absolutely is a choice. Life is not easy, and sometimes as we go through life, life is very difficult, and we are faced with challenges and obstacles and difficult people and difficult situations that can really just derail us. It can derail our day. It can get us to, really struggle. And if we're not able to choose and really embrace the reality that we have a choice, that we are fully able to choose in any situation. And I want to say here that I know that sometimes there's situations that are really impossible situations to deal with, and it's not really what you'd call a good choice, no matter what the options are. However, how we cope, how we engage with situations, how we disengage, how we decide to handle something is absolutely in our power. Of course, the situations we face in our life, you know,
Get much. Her phone's not ringing either place now. But what I'd like to do is then be able to call 4313 and get her Mariana, and dial 4026 and get her in Bonifay. Because she can tell her clients, I'm in Bonifay on these days, Mariana on these days. You can call me on this extension or this extension. Does that make sense? I think so.
Craig, I can't hear anything.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Jamie.
Hi, this is Craig. Debbie, are you there? Yeah, I think we're just waiting for, I think Debbie's trying to fix this right now.
Yeah,
So,
because you were talking and I was hearing your flow really well, then it just like cut out. My line went muted. So yeah,
yeah.
I am.
I think, yeah, she wrote that she's working on trying to fix it. There's a problem on their end.
Okay, I'll stand by. Hold the line.
Thank you. I feel like we're probably going to start.
Okay, can
But
you
I
hear
don't know.
me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we're back online. I'm sorry, everyone, for that technical difficulty.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Do you know how much was
Why
broadcast?
Why don't we take it from the beginning?
Starting over?
Yes.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay,
are you
great.
Cool? Are you cool with that,
much.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just hanging on.
All right. Wonderful.
Ready when you are, Craig.
Okay, were you going to do the intro again, or are we just going to jump in?
Go in. I believe we caught the intro, so go ahead.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're back. I'm really happy to be here. So we had begun, and Debbie was able to do the wonderful introduction, and we began talking about choices. And I realized, and I'm not very skilled when it comes to PowerPoint, that I had actually gone ahead in my notes. So now we have this opportunity to start fresh. So that's what we're going to do. So thank you, everybody, for your patience. So we were talking about choice, and I want to backtrack 1 second for anybody who's already caught that. But the first topic we wanted to talk about was self-expertise, which is really a major component to wellness. It's a major component for people to be able to recognize that each person has a wealth of knowledge and self-expertise within them. A person, myself, Jamie perhaps, many of you, or all of you, I think, I'd hope, we all have vast experiences in our life where we have experienced all sorts of tough things and wonderful things and painful things and beautiful things, and a whole lot of trauma and a whole lot of struggle and despair and suffering. And also we know that there's a lot of successes in our life. We may not always recognize that those successes are valid and legitimate. However, the reality is that everybody is the expert on themselves. I'm the expert on me, and everyone listening is the expert on yourself. And really to be able to dig deep and look within ourselves and to go through a process of self-examination and really figure out this absolutely incredibly helpful information within us, that when we're able to kind of dig deep and bring this out and learn from, that we can radically improve our lives. And what I mean more descriptively is that I know that there's things in my life that in the past have been problematic for me. I know that there's things that I face, there's triggers that I've experienced, and I know when I've reacted to them in the past, that I'd say 95% of the time, I would have a reaction that resulted in disruptions to my life. It resulted in a problematic situation for myself. So over the course of many years of really trying to engage and learn how to get a handle on my life and how I live my life and my quality of life and how I cope with my struggles, I was able to begin to realize and recognize that each time I experienced a certain situation or trigger or struggle or something that happened that incited a reaction in me, that I had the same response. And usually that would be something like I would yell, or I'd scream, or I'd bang, or I'd in my experience, I'm be very honest with you all, it results in getting in fights and being kicked out of places, and even resulted in being arrested a few times. So I know that the way I was dealing with things was not working, and I didn't really have any idea of how to get a handle on that. So as I went through my recovery journey, and of course it's an ongoing journey that I'm still on, and I'm going to be on for the rest of my life, learning how to cope and deal and manage my struggles and how I live my life. Over time, I was able to recognize that each time, as I said, I'd have this reaction to something that happened in my life, and the same thing happened, the same result. Something happened, I reacted to it, then there was disruption to my life because I didn't manage myself and how I coped and how I managed the trigger or the stressor or the situation that got me so revved up and ready to explode, which on so many occasions resulted in so many problems for me, that I was able to, over the course of time, really recognize that was what was happening. Each time something happened, I had a reaction. So when I was able to recognize that was what was happening, and that I knew that I did not want to have that continue to happen, to recognize that through self-examination and looking within myself deeply to really figure out what's going on, what's my reaction, and really, more importantly, how do I want my life to be? How do I want my life to look like? And what would my life look like if I did not continue to have these same reactions to these same situations with that same destruction that came to my life as a result? So when I was able to envision what I wanted my life to look like and take steps to better manage the situations when I faced them that were disruptive to my daily life and my health and my wellness and my happiness, to really come up with a plan of how to deal with that and then put in place what I figured out and practice it. And of course, successes, and sometimes I had to learn from the decisions I made that didn't work out in the best way. And moving forward, I was able to really create for myself more peace, more calm, more wellness, and really reduce the disruption to my life. And that's me looking inward introspectively and embracing that I had a wealth of knowledge, that my self-expertise was absolutely valuable, that it was actually invaluable to the degree that I knew better than anyone else, despite what anyone else may have said, or a doctor has said, or a therapist, or a family member. I knew better what worked for me, what set me off, how I wanted my life to be, what I could try to do to make that or make my life the way I wanted it to be. And I had it within myself to try to take, even if it was the tiniest of steps, to be able to apply what I knew about myself and my experiences and how to make things better for myself, to put that into play. And I actually did experience, and I do experience on a daily basis, even hourly, if I have to make this choice to engage with myself in this way, to move forward. And I'm finding more peace and more calm, and that my life is much less disrupted. And for me, to be able to do that is a beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing. And that's in part why we're doing this webinar today, to bring this concept and these concepts of these new approaches, and maybe approaches that aren't always talked about in our communities, to really benefit people so that people can grow and learn and have better lives. So that's why we're talking about this today. And I'm really glad to be able to open up with this topic. Jamie, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, I personally relate that. I know in my own personal recovery journey, I did reach this point where it was like, I think for me it was more of an experience of, I don't want to be this way anymore, but I really like how you worded it. I don't want to react this way anymore, because it's like, I am who I am. And I think the recovery process, requires us to validate that. And, I'm still, I like to believe even in recovery, I still am who I am. It doesn't, even though a lot of character change has had to happen, it's not about me being flawed or defective, but it's about learning different patterns, learning different ways of being in the world. And, both personally and what I've seen work with others I've worked with, that moment where you realize, I don't want to react this way anymore. I really like how you phrased that.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate that validation, and I'm so glad that we're I think if both you and I are seeing this in a similar way, and we both have gone through these journeys and this ongoing journey of living a happier, healthier life, that if we've been able to kind of identify this for ourselves and kind of put some of this into action, then it works, and that there's a lot of people out there who are or aren't being made aware of that these simple things, and I know they're not so simple, however, when it really comes down to it, these decisions that we make, like, I don't want to be this way anymore. I want to be happier, and that I want to have a life of quality and with joy and success and satisfaction and love and peace and all the things that we all want, and so many of us who struggle with different kinds of difficulties, we often get put in this box where we're told, this is your problem, and this is how it's going to be, and this is the best it's going to get. And you know what? That's what I was told, and it took me forever to break out of that. And when I first found out that, wow, Craig, there's something I can do, despite what everyone else is saying and what I've been taught and what I've known about myself and what I believed about myself, that absolutely deep down I did not like how my life was, and absolutely it did take me to get to a point of really almost no return, and I don't want to be triggering for people, and it's a tough thing to say, but I was very much so at a point of no return at some point in my life about 10 years ago, and I came to terms with the fact that either I was going to do something to make things better, despite everything in my life that was stacked against me, and whether that was my perception 100% on point or not, it doesn't matter. I was going to do something about it, and the moment I decided that I was going to fight this fight, and the moment I found out that it was possible to do this, that it was possible to build a life for myself despite everything that had happened, that was one of the most beautiful days of my life, and that brought us here today to this conversation. So that really makes it quite valuable looking back, that I can see now back in those days of just abject despair and barely keeping my head above water, and sometimes not. That I learned so much about myself in my life back then, even if what I had learned was I learned many things, but I did not want to live like that anymore. I did not want my life to be like that. And wow, what a powerful thing to know about yourself, that what I'm doing, whatever it is, I might not know how to fix it, I might not know how to make it better. What I do know is this is not how I want it to be. And that's a place of where transformation, I think, begins, and how wonderful that as human beings we have that capacity, and how wonderful is it that there are people out there who care, who cared about me at that point to help me go through this process. Again, why are we here today? To bring this information, this hopefully very empowering, inspiring, motivational, yet rooted in reality that this can happen. Thank goodness for all of this. And also thank goodness that the suffering had to happen to get me to that point. No doubt without that experience, I wouldn't be here today. So moving forward, identifying triggers. Now we've already talked a little bit about this, and I think Jamie, you'll have some really insightful things to say on this topic. And really, when it comes down to how we live our daily lives, when we're able to, and we talked about this in a previous segment, but when we can identify the triggers that set us off and be mindful of how we manage our responses when we experience those triggers, when we're mindful, we can have a much better response. When I mean by mindful, as I mean being aware. When I'm not sure if this slide is written correctly. I'm looking at it now and I'm having trouble reading it as if it's confusingly written. But the reality is that when I'm able to identify that there are things that get me in trouble, there are situations that get me in trouble. As I said earlier, I have not gotten enough sleep. I'm very mindful of the fact that that increases my sensitivity to things around me. My perception is compromised as a result. So I have to be very careful of what I'm experiencing in my surroundings, what I'm experiencing on this conversation, on this webinar, to be able to work through how I feel in my head, the things I think that, I'll be honest, obviously, I don't always think as clearly as I'd like. I don't always perceive everything as clearly as I'd like, or as others might see it. And to be able to be aware of the things that kind of get me in trouble, the things that kind of set me off or off balance a little bit, and to be mindful of that and knowing that these things happen, that there's things that contribute to my perception, or there's things that happen that cause me to be off balance. When I'm aware of that, I can manage how I respond because I know that there's things that set me off. I know there's things that set me a little off balance. And when I'm aware of that, I can then better manage and again, tapping into my self-expertise that I know this about myself. And I know that in the past, if I allowed myself to react in a way that in the past was detrimental, that there's a consequence to that. There's fallout, there's disruption to my life. So the alternate or the alternative for me is to be mindful and to move forward carefully and a little more delicately so that when I experience those triggers, I have a better response. And that has been such a magical, transformative, life-changing, ongoing experience for me that has produced more calm, more peace, and less disruption to my life. And as people are listening here, you'll hear I keep saying the same thing again and again. I use the same phrases, more calm, more peace, less disruption, because that is so important to my happiness and wellness after living a life of just abject despair that I want people to hear that in reality, we can do this. We all deserve to have that peace, and we all deserve to have that calm, and we all deserve to have less disruption. And in reality, as I've experienced it, I think many other people as well, we can make that happen for ourselves in spite of or despite our experiences, our surroundings, and what's happening in our life. Jamie, do you have any input on that?
I just really like your very simple definition of mindfulness of triggers being awareness of our triggers. And I think that's something that comes with lived experience, being able to develop that awareness. I mean, God knows on day zero of recovery, I certainly had, next to no awareness of what my triggers were. And that's something that I think that help and support has really helped to foster in me. And granted, it's been a long, hard road finding people I can trust to kind of discuss my stuff with and call me out on stuff with. But I know that support has been a vital piece to helping me identify what some of those triggers are and doing simple exercises like a lot of the ones you cover in Better Days.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that validating and legitimizing comment, Jamie. Yeah, I mean, on day one, we might not have that awareness, and on day, 10,001, we might find ourselves in a situation where we're lacking that awareness for whatever reason, and being able to set up ourselves that we're human and that can happen, and that it doesn't take away from all the hard work we've done. It doesn't take away from all the time and effort we've put into, improving our lives and managing how we cope and dealing with the struggles we face. That it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing journey, and thank goodness people out there who are supportive. And for people out there who might not be aware, all over the United States and Canada and many other countries, there are peer support organizations in all sorts of cities all across the country and beyond. So I want people to know that I know there are wonderful resources on the website here, but really reach out. There are so many supportive people and people who believe in the reality that we get better, that we can learn to use effective coping skills to manage our lives, have a more peaceful and calm and less disruptive life. There are people all over the place fighting this battle. There are people all over the place engaging in this process on this journey, and let's connect. Let's reach out. Let's access what's available. And certainly, and I know we're using these slides on this webinar and we're going off topic, and that's what I expected would happen. So please, everyone, bear with me. Bear with us. But there are people out there who want to see us do well. And there are people out there who want to see us succeed. And if you don't have those people in your life, please go find them. They are out there. And it might take a little time and effort and disappointment. However, there are people who talk in the very way that Jamie and I are speaking about recovery and coping skills. There are people out there. So if I support you all in reaching out for that. If you don't have that in your life, it's been crucial to me and getting a handle on my struggles, knowing that other people get it, that other people support me and are there for me. So yeah. So
I relate. just
Go
to
ahead.
interject, Craig, I related 1,000% to that. I'm in an interesting place today. Today's my 13th anniversary sober. It's the exact date. So
Oh,
it
congratulations.
was kind of, thanks, Craig. It was kind of cool when I woke up and realized that, oh yeah, we get to do this webinar with, a supportive friend of mine. It's really cool because when I look back on it, and this is something I posted on Facebook this morning, it has been that support that has gotten me to this place. I mean, and I think it is, there's two sides of the coin, because on one hand, I have had to learn a lot of self-efficacy and relying on my strengths and recognizing, as you so beautifully put, that I am the expert on my life, that I do have the resources within me. Yet it's also been important that I don't totally, run on this mode of saying, I don't need you people, because for me it has been a balance. And I think having that support has allowed me to highlight what my strengths and my self-efficacies are to be able to trudge on.
Yeah, so wonderfully put. We all go. When we embrace this journey, there are these ups and downs, and when we remain, the right word. When we remain determined to live a better life and go through this process of improving our life and the quality of life, which is the direct result of, especially for people perhaps like us who have sensitivities. It's really the word I like to use to describe struggles, because we can use all the labels and diagnoses in the world, but we're really just human beings who are really
Sure.
sensitive to the world, and we've had trauma that has impacted us and how we learn to cope with our struggles. So this ongoing journey of really, I think, transformation and realizing what works for us and what doesn't. This process can be so beautiful for us. It's also so painful. It's so painful to live through this, and to have the heartbreak and the despair that comes with this process, and that's to be validated. And it's only just to be honest with people that this journey is there is a very tough part of it, and it's not pleasant all the time, and it's not all fun. This process of learning how to cope is and learning how to cope in ways that are allowing us to have better lives is not always easy. There's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache and a lot of pain, and I think we when we're able to have that support and be part of communities that are supportive and nurturing that, and knowing there are people out there doing that work and accessing that information on a regular basis, we are able to move forward. So I'm grateful for you, Jamie. Having you engage with me and in my life has been a wonderful thing for me, especially, and I have not shared about this, but my life was so difficult over the winter. And Jamie, you know what I'm speaking of, and I don't need to get into it too descriptively here, but I went through some very, very dark times this past winter. And there's no doubt that my life was in shambles, and I was very close to not wanting to feel this pain ever again. And thankfully, with support of people like yourself who reached out to me, who knew I was struggling, and there was really nothing anyone can do better than I can do for myself. However, the support of others and that compassion and just knowing someone's out there, wow, what a huge difference. So I want to thank you for that, and you helped me, and I'm grateful that I know you and that we're doing this today.
Okay. I mean, that's why we're here, Craig, is for each other. So I honor your gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. So moving forward, developing perspective. And I'm just going to read this because I like what it says here. It's so relevant to, I think, to so many of our lives. When we're able to think introspectively about our lives and our experiences, even on a daily basis, hourly, or a minute-by-minute basis, we are able to develop a greater perspective on what is going on with us during those moments, so that we can manage the situations we're facing the best possible, and thus have a more peaceful and less disruptive result, or a less disruptive life, or disrupted life. Perspective is really so, it might be one of the most crucial components to my wellness. Understanding that all sorts of things impact how I view the world. All sorts of things impact how I see things, how I interact, how I hear what people are saying, how when I look at other people and I see their expression on their face, my perspective of knowing what's gone on in my day, if I had a rough, didn't get enough sleep, hadn't eaten enough, if I hadn't had enough water, if I was frustrated, if I was worried about how I was going to pay a bill that day, if I was concerned about my cat being sick, my the window lock is broken on my apartment. I'm stressed about meeting a deadline. Somebody's upset at me. I'm walking down the street and a car drove by and got too close and I got scared. All of these things and countless other experiences and things that happen in our lives impact our perspective, impacts how we view the world. And when we are affected by all of these things and millions of other possible things that could happen in our daily life, it has a direct impact on how we move forward and how we engage with people and how we perceive situations we face, perceive obstacles, people in our lives. We absolutely are impacted. So often, and I see this all the time working as a peer counselor myself in my own life, in the experiences of others, the people I support, and just in the community, on the bus, everywhere. People so often react to things that happen, which, yes, to validate people, of course, things that we react to are generally things that we're experiencing, and that's legitimate, that's to be respected and honored. With that said, additionally, when we're mindful of all the things that have potentially contributed to the perspective we have at that moment, and we take that into consideration. Like, I want to say, like, an immense degree of consideration in that moment, whether we're prepared for our daily life as we go forward in our hour-to-hour interactions in the world by being more mindful preemptively, or in the moment recognizing that we just faced a trigger, we just dealt with somebody at a cafe who was really rude. How we deal with that, how we cope with that, is so crucially connected to the perspective we have on what's going on in our life, what we're experiencing, and often we are not even aware that things have affected us. So when we go forward, we have this reaction, and as so many of us know, we have a reaction, there's a conflict, there's an argument, something happens, and then there's the consequences and the fallout. So instead of being able to be in the moment and say, okay, I know I'm a little sensitive right now, I know I'm not feeling 100%, maybe the situation I'm facing isn't exactly as it appears, not to take away the validity of what you're experiencing, because our feelings are absolutely real and legitimate to be respected and honored. But additionally, to be able to know that even if our feelings are valid and to be respected, that we may be feeling more extreme, feeling things in a way that's more extreme or skewed because of what's gone on in our daily life, or things we've experienced in the day or the day before, or whatever, our lack of sleep or lack of food or whatever it may be. So being able to in the moment have that information in our head to apply to the situations we find ourselves in, to allow ourselves to transcend and move forward, because we might have a dinner date, we might be going to the movies, we might be, have a class, and we have a presentation, and we want to go have a great experience, or we might be going out with friends, or whatever it might be. Hopefully something good we all have in our lives to look forward to in our daily lives, our daily, how we live our lives. We want to be able to see that through. And we can make that happen by having the perspective of knowing what's going on in our lives, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, the whys and the hows of all that. And instead of getting caught up and not being mindful of what the perspective of what's impacted our reactions and our perceptions of what's going on, to be able to not have that resulting conflict, and then the disruption to our lives, the consequences, the fallout, which then often, as we know, results in more and more problems. And for me, again, it results in losing friendships, jobs, all sorts of problems. Instead of having that happen, which is disruptive, and none of us like having that happen, to then instead be able to move forward and get on with my day. And to be able to do that, my goodness, what a beautiful life we can have when we're able to do that. So I offer that to all of you, that the perspective in developing our abilities to be mindful and aware that all sorts of things impact us all through the day, and many things we may not even be aware of. However, if we're able to step back and introspectively look and examine ourselves and what's going on, whatever it may be, to allow us to move forward in the moment of struggle or trigger or trauma and have that better day, wow. If I can do that, and yes, it was a hard-fought battle to learn how to do that, and this took repeated practice and repeated application of these skills. Ultimately, I've been able to do that. And with that said, absolutely, I still struggle with it. And there's days and there's times when I sit here and I talk about this, and we have the Better Days workbook, and it's talking about all this. And even as the author and the speaker here, I still make mistakes. I still make decisions that are like not applying the skill we're talking about right here. And I learn from it, and I try to embrace it and move forward. And that's how we have a peaceful, more calm, more peaceful, and less disruptive life. Jamie?
Yeah, and I just want to interject, in talking about perspective, a useful question I've learned to ask myself is, what's this really about? And speaking about mindfulness, I really believe in paying attention to my body as a mindful practice. And so, it's taken practice, don't get me wrong, to notice that, when my blood starts to boil, when I start to sweat, sometimes I get cold, when there's a shift happening in my body, and I feel myself either behaving, responding, reacting, however you want to call it, in a way that is, not the way that I really is optimal for my health, I guess I'll put it that way. I've learned to ask the question, what's this really about? Now, sometimes I can ask it in the heat of the moment, and that helps me get out of it. Sometimes I reflect on it afterwards, and then that helps me to hopefully, notice those cues and triggers next time. But, I think like a lot of the skills that you've described in Better Days helps us to really explore and examine that question of, what are these things, what's this really about? And I find that a useful question for myself. I share it with clients and friends as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I was having a conversation with a good friend the other day, and we were talking about how often we get stuck in situations where things happen, things are said, we're treated in a certain way, and how that can affect us, and how we see all the time people responding to the kind of negativity that's really so common in our daily lives, and the reality that 99% of the time, I don't want to give percentages that I can't back up, but I'm gonna say this because it's my experience. That 99% of the time, when I'm interacting with someone else who's not being pleasant or nice in this situation, or say for a good example is like a bus driver, like a public bus driver who's frustrated for all sorts of reasons, and you get on the bus and you're just trying to pay your fare and go to where you're trying to go, and they're not nice or they're angry or whatever, or they're rude. That's not about me. They're not saying, oh, this guy's getting on, I'm going to be mean and nasty to him because I've chosen to do that. They're having, who knows what's going on. They got yelled at by the supervisor. They almost got hit by a car. Or somebody just got off the bus and was yelling and screaming, and they had to call security, or they were on their way to work and they got a flat tire. I mean, there's a whole like endless amount of possibilities that contribute. And it's not about me. I'm just getting on the bus to go where I'm trying to go. And I could certainly be like, well, screw you, bus driver, and I'm going to get into this. We see it all the time. It happens all the time. I'm just not going to let myself get into that because I know I have things to do and things I want to accomplish. And if I get into that because someone else is having a hard time, that's being nasty and cruel to myself. I need to be empathetic to me and say, you know what? I deserve to have a good day. I deserve to not be in struggle because someone else is struggling. I'm going to make that choice to say I'm going to not engage in that negativity to make sure that my life is going to go forward today without that disruption. And just a side note, which I think is so beautiful to say here, to be able to make that choice, not just for myself, however, to recognize that person that is bringing that negativity or we perceive that negativity, they're also struggling. they're also hurting, because people don't generally act in a way that's mean or nasty, and if they're not already struggling or have gone through something or dealing with trauma or whatever it may be. So I really try to like stress and say, you know, that person's also struggling, so I'm going to choose not only to keep myself going forward by being super good to myself in that situation, I'm not going to negatively engage with that person and then perpetuate their own struggle, because that gets us nowhere in the world. You know, I don't want to live in a world where we see people who are upset and angry who just perpetuate and push their buttons. That's not how I want to live. I want to live a life of happiness and peacefulness and beauty and love and all the good things. And I'm not going to have that if I'm engaging with people because they're having in a negative way when they're already struggling. It's not going to do me any good, not going to do them any good, not going to do the world any good. All right, so I just did my little rant about that, and now we're going to move on to the next slide here, which is choice. Choice. Again, we're talking about the same things here. So crucial. Choice. How we cope with the struggles and triggers we face is a choice. It may not be easy, and at times may be very difficult. However, ultimately, we're able to choose how to handle the situations we face. This is something that I've had to learn the hard way. I have learned the hard way. I'm a firm believer in learning the hard way is the best way. Don't know, Jamie, if you agree with that.
It's been my experience.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah, thank you. And I know that people don't really always like hearing that suffering and pain and struggle and hurt, and that's the best teacher right there. Experience is the best teacher. But those experiences are invaluable. So to our wellness and to be able to go through that struggle of not being able to make the choices that benefit us in the best way, that struggle, that suffering, that pain is so beautifully educational. It's one of the best educations you'll ever get that you give yourself when you're able to look at the situation, look at yourself, what's going on, did my choice impact this? Was my perspective skewed? Did something impact my ability to see things exactly as they are? And did I move forward in a way that was problematic? Was there a resulting disruption to my life? How did that impact my life? How would I have preferred my life to have been today if this didn't happen? What choices do I need to make moving forward to be able to handle a situation like this in the future in a way that will have a better result? That's my choice. That's your choice. All of you listening, it is doable. In reality, this can be done. I don't want to in any way minimize anyone's struggle. I want to validate and legitimize that everyone's struggle is absolutely as difficult, as painful, as hard, as brutal as you experience it. The things we face in life, the obstacles, the pain, the despair, the living situations that are awful, the financial problems, all of this, legitimate and valid. Those struggles are real. That pain is real. That hurt is real. And in addition to that, how we choose to cope in those moments will have a massively either wonderfully positive or detrimental impact on our lives. That is a choice we can make. It's not pleasant to have to make choices like that. It's not easy often to be able to say in this moment, for example, I'm dealing with a massive crisis with people who are hurting me and stuff going on that just feels impossible. How I deal with this in this moment, how I choose to cope with a strict struggle or a trigger in that moment, ultimately, in the big picture, will allow us to move forward and have a better life. Not an easy thing to apply to our lives. Maybe it's maybe people might say that, well, it's easy for you to say, Craig, but, how about my life? It's not like yours. But, and I respect that everyone's experience is their own. My experience in life has been one of abject suffering and despair, disempowerment, poverty, indigence, trauma, and such massive amounts of abuse. And it's a horrendous, unbearable, miserable life. Barely, I don't want to call it a life. It's basically an existence and nothing more for most of my years. So that's where I'm coming from. And I've learned very much the hard way, which is the best way as far as I'm concerned, that I can choose how to move forward and how to face the situations in my life and to allow myself to have a better result. I know, Jamie, you had already commented that was your experience as well, that the hard way was, I don't want to misquote you, but that the
Well,
hard way
yeah,
was
I
good.
mean, yeah, it's been my experience that pain is a great motivator. I mean, I used to say pain is the greatest motivator. I don't know if I would, use that superlative anymore because I've had other forms of motivation that have certainly kicked me into gear. But I know, like, especially in those early days and even, later in my recovery journey, I think this desire to not want to hurt anymore, not want to suffer anymore has really kicked me into gear.
Thank you so much. And could you just, do you mind sharing just a couple of the, just for the people listening, a couple of the things, I will as well, a couple of the things that have become motivators for you as you've transcended the like, I guess the impact that pain would have on your life and how that motivated you, like maybe some of the things that you like, the meaning and purpose perhaps that allows you to move forward. Could you share some of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, because I think, don't get me wrong, pain can still be a motivator. And I think, but as I hope I've grown in recovery, what I mean by some examples of other motivators are like wanting to live the fullest life possible, like wanting to change, not just because I don't want to hurt anymore, but being changed because I want to be happier. Looking at it more in positive terms, like kind of being able to sample from the full bounty of what life has to offer. I know that sounds a little flowery, but yeah, it's like, a greater sense of happiness, a greater sense of wellness, a greater sense of connection. And I was just sharing this with somebody last night that I think, I needed pain, I needed fear to motivate me a lot when I started, but I think there was a certain point where it was like, this wouldn't cut it anymore if I really wanted to grow. That I had to look at what some of these more positive motivators were or are. For example, wanting to have that sense of happiness, wanting to have that sense of fulfillment. I mean, I know right now one of the greatest joys I experience in life is laying my head down at night, truly feeling fulfilled and satisfied with the work I'm able to do. And I wouldn't have been able to say that years ago. Had I stayed on the path I was on, I wouldn't have been able to say that I'm fulfilled with what I'm able to do work wise. So that's a huge motivator for me now, is to be able to stay healthy so that I can continue to share the work I love. So that's just a little snippet.
Oh, wonderful. I feel so similarly. I'm just gonna let that resonate for a second and move forward. But that was so beautifully stated. I feel such a similar I have such a similar view on the world, and I hope that as we do the work we do and people are able to engage with these concepts, that more and more people can embrace that reality that is a wonderful way to live our lives. And just thank you so much for that beautiful explanation of your meaning and purpose and how you move forward. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So quickly, respect, basic concept that that's often missing in our world. You are the expert on you, and this is to be honored, valued, nurtured, and respected. For me, this is no question. I don't care who's telling you different. I don't care who's telling you you're wrong, or like, you really can't stand when people say you shouldn't feel that way, or you should do this, or don't do that, or don't feel that, or that's not a big deal. You know what? No, thank you. You know what's up with you. You know how you feel. You know what you experience. You know what makes you feel comfortable and happy. You know what makes you feel unsafe or makes you feel bad, or when you're in a situation that doesn't feel comfortable, or when people aren't being nice to you. You're the expert on you, and this is to be honored, valued, nurtured, and respected. And I want to put this out there and say, if there are people in your lives out there and they're not giving you respect, and they're not honoring you for the person you are, the valuable human being that we all must be treated as, despite whatever struggles we have, and despite whatever choices we made or decisions we made, especially under duress or in situations when we've been compromised, which I'd imagine many people listening to this today know what I'm talking about. Despite all of that, or in spite of it, as I like to say, despite or in spite of, we all deserve to be honored, valued, nurtured, and respected. When we're treated with respect and when we're valued and honored in our experiences and our process of recovery are nurtured, we make progress. We get better. Life gets better. And we also improve our relationships, sometimes with the very people that we've been pushed away from because of the different struggles that we've faced. So, do you have any comments on that, Jamie, before we move forward?
No, I would just say keep moving forward. I only have about 10 more minutes. I could stay on the line because I have some clients to attend to this afternoon, but
Okay.
I'm here while I'm here. So go right ahead, Craig.
Excellent. Honoring your lived experience. You are the one who can figure out how to best cope with your struggles and triggers by honoring your personal lived experience, knowledge, and self-expertise. Your lived experience, each person out there, your experiences are valuable. There's knowledge. There's a lot of worth. Every experience is educational. There's so much that we know about ourselves that we often don't figure out, or figure out way later in life than really is I should say, we figure it out way later in life than we wish we had. So as we go through our lives, please know that your lived experience has value. It has you're worthwhile, and self-expertise, knowing about ourselves, that we absolutely, really, inside have the knowledge that we need to make our lives better. To tap into that, to embrace that, and explore that will absolutely result in over time and hard work and dedication, a better life.
And Craig, this is one of the reasons I do like your work so much is your use of the term lived experience. I don't do a lot of research anymore, but when I was doing a lot of research, there was a method of research I practiced where the key was to look at lived experience. Because to me, numbers and statistics are all fine and good, but ultimately it comes down to the lived experience of the person in front of me when I'm working in a professional capacity. It comes down to my lived experience, so I'm examining my life. And this is a phrase that I just love. As a human being and as a professional, and so I just thank you for bringing this into your work.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Moving forward, the next slide. The life you want can become yours. This might seem impossible to some people. For me, it was out of reach and impossible and a fairy tale for most of my life. I've lived this. I've learned the hard way that this is real. Without any question, with hard work, effort, and time, the life you want can become yours. That's what I know. People's experiences, if it tells you different, I respect that. You know what you know from your experiences. Validate you. It's legitimate. Your perspective is to be respected and honored. In addition to that, I, for many years, believed the opposite of this. However, without any question, with hard work, effort, and time, my life became what I wanted it to be, and I'm working every day to make it what I want it to be. I have not stopped by any means. Moving forward is the only way for me to be happy, and that's what I am doing. So we're going to move forward because we have limited time. Better Days. This is from the Better Days workbook. This is the Biting Your Tongue page, one of my favorites. We're going to go through this, and then Jamie has limited time, so we're going to answer a couple of questions back and forth and ask for her engagement on that, and she probably has to go. So I'm going to read this. This is from the workbook, the Better Days Mental Health Recovery Workbook. And this is all based on my own experience, so this is coming from what I had to learn how to do to help myself. Today I experienced the emotions of anger and hurt. My hurt feelings have been building up even while I have tried my best to process them. I could feel myself about to boil over like a pot on the stove. I knew that I had to control myself. I knew that as bad as I felt at that moment, that in time I would feel relief. I needed to protect myself and manage the intensity of what I was feeling and thinking. I had to do this to protect myself so that I could deal with the issues responsibly once I felt more settled and calm. I had to bite my tongue in order to take care of myself and to protect my life. Only I can do this for me, and only you can do it for you. This is what I've learned from my life. I want to put out there really quick, when I say bite your tongue, I am not saying that somebody's being abusive to you or hurting you or doing something that's unacceptable, that keep your mouth shut about it. Obviously, in certain situations, we must speak up and defend ourselves. to protect ourselves. In no way do I want to disempower anybody with this information here. Beyond that, or additionally, when I'm in a situation where I can choose that my response will be beneficial to the purpose I have in life, to live a happy, healthy life and have more calm and peace and less disruption, or my choice could be one that would bring about consequences, I want to choose to mind my words and or my actions and let my life move forward in a way that will benefit me in a way that will make me happy. Meaning, just succinctly here, that to have an intellectual response instead of an emotional response when I'm upset, when I am triggered, to step away, to back away, to disengage from that situation, that person, so I can have some time to process. And once I am processed, my feelings, my anger, my rage, my hurt, to come back and have an intellectual conversation with that person if necessary or possible or appropriate to move forward. This is from personal life experience. I use this worksheet and as passage in workshops all the time. It's one of my favorites. That's why we share it with you today. And just moving forward to the worksheet question number 1, and people can go to the Better Days website, and the information's at the end of this webinar and on the International Bipolar Foundation website. And you can find out for yourself and look at PDFs, and download these pages and learn more about the book. But these questions are part of the worksheet. And Jamie, I wanted to ask you, if you're willing, I know we have limited time, if you could briefly name a situation where you had to bite your tongue and how your life benefited from you holding back your words.
Sure. There's that great old cliche, practice restraint of tongue and pen. And I've adapted that, or I've seen it adapted for the modern era as about, practicing restraint of tongue, pen, and email. Because sometimes when doing a lot of work in my business, I get email responses or see things online, and I just want to dive right in. And I have always found it works best if I can just breathe. And it's like if I give myself time to breathe, whether it's 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, oftentimes getting back to people after I've breathed, it's a much better experience. This is why I really believe that caller ID and voicemail are two of the greatest recovery devices we have at our disposal. Some people may think I'm cynical for saying that, but there's some calls that I get where it really is better for it to go to voicemail, for me to listen, for me to breathe, and give me some time to prepare my response. And I know in life it's not always that we don't have that time, but I do think we always have that breath.
Absolutely.
That even if it's not like a voicemail situation, we can always take that one deep breath, hopefully 3. I usually like to get 3 breaths in, and that gives me some time to just settle and answer from that place of response more than reaction.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I want to just comment real quickly. Another wonderful recovery tool is draft emails. I have been the king of sending out 3 o'clock in the morning, 17 chapter emails when I'm upset.
Yes.
I don't do that anymore because it's always a bad result. And while I work professionally as a mental health provider, and I was working as a provider while going to school, I will share with people there so they know this legit, this happened. I was actually suspended from school pending a letter from a provider saying, and I'm not going to say the words they're used against me because it was awful, but they had to make sure, they wanted to ensure that I was not a danger to anybody, which I wasn't. It was just really a really terrible situation because I had written one of the 17 chapter emails in the middle of the night. I strongly support anybody out there. If you're angry in the middle of the night and you read that email, do not send it. Hit draft. Wait until the morning once you slept to look it over. And then if you still feel that way, maybe do a reality check with somebody you trust. But I know, without any question, the middle of the night emails do not result. Especially those 17 chapter emails do not result in anything good.
And I just want to say, Craig, and then I do have to take off. I've sent them, even many years in recovery as a professional, I've sent them. But one thing I've had to learn is I don't like receiving them. So, and that, because I have received my share of them too, and that lesson has given, using perspective has given me some perspective check on, I truly want to validate your need and your desired event, and that's why I like how you said, use the draft function, practice this art of the unsent letter, but give it some time, give it some breath. And I've always tried to see in those situations, how can I edit it down to what the real key points are? Because I think that's a way where I could still validate my feelings, but I am practicing the biting your tongue skill, which I think ultimately serves us better in life.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jamie, so much. Jamie's gonna have to log off now. I just want to say thank you so much, Jamie. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to share it with everybody, Jamie's website, and also if you go on the event page for the International Bipolar Foundation for this webinar, her information is there. She's doing wonderful, amazing work, changing the world one person at a time, and I strongly respect and support and appreciate and value you, Jamie, and I hope you all will check out her stuff. Life-changing work being done here. She's honored me by doing the Forward and Better Days. You have all my respect and gratitude. Thank you so much, Jamie, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for doing this with us today.
Thank you so much, Craig. Thanks for having me. I was glad I was able to join you for this time, and wishing all of you who are listening wellness, and as Craig would say, better days. So
thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Well.
Thank you
well.
very much, Jamie, for joining.
Thank you. So moving forward, the second question on the Biting Your Tongue worksheet is the slide you see here. It says, what are 3 healthy ways that you can calm yourself down when you're angry? Now, interestingly about this question is when I wrote this, maybe a different language when I talked about how to manage my struggles. So I've had many people over the past few years say, well, you know what? I don't really think that I need to calm myself down when I'm angry. I don't like that word. I don't like being told to calm down. I don't like being told either. It actually makes me want to get angrier. But I leave it here, and it's in the workbook as well, because whether you want to answer this question and you relate to it, say, you know what are 3 healthy ways I can calm myself down when I'm angry? For me, that might be going for a walk, taking a shower, having a glass of water, meditating, playing with my sweet little Max the cat, my rescue, my best friend Max the cat, my rescue cat. Or you might say, you know what, I'm going to go to this question and say, you know what, I want to discuss, I don't like the word calm. I don't want to be told to calm. I don't want to think about how to calm myself down. Maybe my anger is absolutely legitimate, which I think it probably is for the most part when people get upset. And I want to talk about that. So whether you answer the question as it's written, or you have a discussion with yourself or someone else, or you just explore what this means to you, that is beneficial, that is productive, and that will result in, if anything else, going through the process of self-examination, learning about yourself, tapping into your self-knowledge and expertise results in moving forward in progress. And then the third question, and again, this is from the workbook and the Biting Your Tongue passage and worksheet. When you are upset, hurt, or angry, what can you say to those around you so they can help you deal with your situation in more healthy ways? I share this with all of you here. I've had to learn to really identify that there's certain people that I can talk to when I'm upset, and there's limited people because not everyone gets me. Not everyone knows my story to the degree that I feel comfortable really reaching out for help. And for me to be able to tell people when I'm hurting or I'm having a struggle, say, for example, I want to talk about this for 5 minutes. I need to get this off my chest. I don't need solutions. I don't need advice. I need to say what I have to say. Please validate me. Tell me you're so glad that I shared it with you and that I reached out, and I support you. And then I want to tell them I want to talk about anything else. I want to talk about my loving Max the cat, who has 28 toes, and a beautiful little boy who saved my life when I went through my struggle this past winter. Or I want to talk about movies or music or my favorite food or my plans for the summer or the winter or going swimming or anything that makes me happy at all. And when I'm able to make that choice and ask someone and say to someone, can you please let me say my piece and then validate me and move forward, talk about anything else, I'm able to transcend that, and that is amazing for me. So I support you all in that process and engaging in that journey as well. The next slide is just a cover of the Better Days Mental Health Recovery Workbook. Beautiful cover made by the fantastic, amazing artist, Jennifer McMahon. And she's wonderful. And I just love the artwork. She honored me with this wonderful cover. Amazing. I wish it was more high resolution, but it is what it is. So I hope you all appreciate that beautiful artwork. Moving forward, I want to say thank you, Debbie, and everyone at the International Bipolar Foundation. I made a mistake here with Federation. I apologize. I thank everyone at the International Bipolar Foundation, to all of you for your support and interest and engaging in this conversation, this discussion, listening, being open to this, how to live happier, healthier, more satisfying lives. This is a valuable, necessary conversation, and I am so grateful for anybody who will consider listening or engaging in this conversation. I support you all in having this conversation as many times as necessary to be heard and understood. Couple of things, some ideas to consider. I've said this already, but it's so crucial that your experiences are valid and legitimate. No matter what anyone tells you, if you're being nice or not, doesn't matter. Your experiences are valid and legitimate. You are a worthy person. You deserve to have a good life. You deserve to have happiness and peace and wellness and good things. You deserve to have friendship and love and success and stability and peace and all the wonderful things that we all want in this world. You deserve it. Absolutely. Every one of you deserves that. With hard work, dedication, and time, things can and will improve in your lives. Again, this might sound like who the heck is this guy to tell me that I am living in hell? And you know what? I validate you. It's a legitimate response. If that's your response, I've been there myself. I have swam in the sea of despair more times than I ever want to recall. Barely treading water, drowning numerous times, and just barely making it to shore and be able to breathe and get on with my life. Many times I did not believe that anything could get better, and it did. I worked my butt off, and I support you in doing the same. Every experience is necessary. Again, there's many people who might hear me say that and say, well, I've been through some things that there's nothing good from it, and I'm not going to challenge you on that. Your experience is what your experience is. Your struggle is real. Your what you know about your life is to be respected. I've learned that every time I've had a struggle, every time something really screwed up and painful and hurtful and devastating and despair-filled has happened to me, in the moment it's been horrendous. Looking back, I can see that every time something good's come from it. I've grown, I've learned, and that's taught me that every experience is necessary. And in addition to that, that every experience is educational if I allow it to be. And I try so hard in my moments of struggle. Even today, as I haven't gotten enough sleep and I don't feel very well, we're doing this webinar, I chose to give it my best and to do this. I know that by engaging in this and not flaking out, which I wasn't going to, but I certainly could have done that because I feel so crappy, and I chose to move forward. And I know by doing that, I said to myself, by doing this, you're going to be stronger, you're going to get tougher, and you're going to be able to do this again in the future, because I'm going to have another time when I'm giving a workshop, I need to go somewhere, do something where I don't feel good, prove to myself I can do it, and that's what I've done today. So that means that it's educational, it's necessary, and when I'm able to tell myself in the moment of struggle, in the moment of crisis and despair, that this is going to be beneficial to me at some point, I'm going to learn from this and help me transcend. Again, that you are the expert on yourself. You're the expert. You know what's right for you. You know what makes you feel comfortable. You know what works for you. You know what hasn't worked for you. You know what gets you in trouble. You know how you'd like your life to be if you're able to have things different. You know what things you can do to make that happen. Your expertise is to be validated, respected, legitimized, honored, and valued and nurtured. Each of us is capable of improving our lives. It may seem, again, like a tough call. It's reality as I know it. I like to say that I'm a direct and transparent and blunt person. I say that from what I know. I give that to you. I hope you'll accept it. I wrote here, we believe in you. I was including Jamie with that, but I believe in you. May not know you. I may not have met you. I may not ever meet you. However, if it helps at all, from my heart, I believe in anybody who takes any step to make their life better. It's not pleasant all the time. It's not easy. Sometimes it's distressingly and gruelingly painful. And sometimes we can't see the light that's at the end of the tunnel. So I want you all to know that you heard me speak today about this, and my experiences have taken me through a journey of absolute horror and beauty. And on some days I go through it again, even though I'm so far along in my recovery journey and things are much better. I still experience that horror sometimes. And recently it's been quite a struggle for me, and people believed in me, helped me get here. Without that belief in me, I might not be here. So I give to you that no matter what's going on, no matter what anyone's told you, I believe in you. I believe in the power of recovery. I believe in developing coping skills, that absolutely life gets better. I'm living proof. Jamie's living proof. The people involved with the International Bipolar Foundation are living proof. All of you are living proof. If you're listening to this today, you're engaging in making your life better. Whether you're a provider, a peer supporter, a person with lived experience, a family member, you're living proof of trying to make things better. Please, I believe in you. This is reality. Things get better. Things will improve with hard work and dedication and time. Keep up the fight. You can do this. I'm living proof. I support you. Lastly, again, just to thank everyone for listening today. Thank Debbie and the International Bipolar Foundation for this awesome opportunity to reach so many wonderful people. Please feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear from you. I have a massive email backlog, but I will try to get back to you. As it says here, my email address is betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. Please get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. And you can learn more about me in the workbook, the Better Days workbook, and how to get copies. And I'd love for you to get copies. It's coming out soon in numerous translations: Spanish, German, French, and Italian. Please contact me if you want to have books for your program, or if you're a provider, you want to get them for the people you serve, or you're in for a support group, or for your family member, or for anybody. The Better Days workbook. You can go to the website here, www.betterdaysrecovery.com, and there are PDFs, so you can download and see what the book looks like. And yeah, I strongly support you in contacting me and asking any questions. I have my Better Days Recovery Workshop. I'd love to share the information with people. Anybody who has any interest in me or my work in recovery and the Better Days Workbook or the Better Days Workshop, please contact me. And also just want to, again, thank Jamie for her contribution today and her support. Please check out her work and her books and all the wonderful things that she's doing at www.dancingmindfulness.com. The website's there on the page, on the screen there. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. May you all always have better days. I say that every time I speak, every time I write in a book that somebody gets to me, I say, may you always have better days. And I say that to you as well. Be well, everybody, and thank you so much for your time and your support and your interest. And again, may you always have better days.
Thank you so much, Craig. Very much appreciated. And just want to remind everyone that this has been recorded and will be up on our website later this afternoon to share or go back for further review. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.